Okay, y'all, I'm back. So he and his significant other were, you know, um, contemplating, well, more so her than him, because she had some health issues, and I think she had some medication and it caused some dryness or what have you. And the doctor was just saying that eh, a couple of days, but to be 100% sure, just also maybe consider, removing that activity for at least a month or 2 months, just to make sure that everything had worked out properly with the procedure or with the medication following a procedure. And so the gentleman was like coming to work and he would be cranky some days and he'd be like, it was, understandable when I just thought it was just, a few days, 3 or 4 days, but if this is going to be long term, then we shouldn't be in a relationship. And I'm like, wait, let's hold up, let's revisit this. Y'all are not married. You're living basically together, but I think she still kind of lived with her mom a little bit or whatever. And he was an older gentleman. He was like in his 50s. She was in her late 30s. Um, but he was like, if we're not having, sex, I don't have much use for the relationship. And this was a couple of years ago, and that was like the first time where I'm just like, gosh, I'm so glad I'm just not even in a relationship right now, because this is the way this gentleman is talking to a female. A female who at the time, is single, and the dude was a good looking dude. And he had a past where he was married and he had cheated, and of course you all know my past. In my past, when I was married, I cheated. So I'm just imagining, had I been in the whole mind frame of not trying to, guard my heart and guarding my body, and on my walk with Christ in celibacy, would I have been like, well, shoot, she ain't giving it, he wanted, we're coworkers. It's a prime opportunity for us to kind of, explore some options. So I can't necessarily say that no, I wouldn't have. Had I been in a sexually active minded uh uh reality, but I wasn't. So he would have these complaints, and I would be like, just really kind of, that's odd. That's not cool. If she wants to be celibate for a while, let her be celibate. Let her get her body back together. Like, don't talk about, I don't even want to really have a relationship if we're not effing. Like, I don't want to even see her. I don't even want to go out. I don't want to go on no trips if we're not effing. Um, and so it really did bring me back to the conclusion of, what would your relationship with the person be if sex were not on the table? If legs open were not an option, how would your dude really be showing up for you? And this also transcended the conversation of just, boyfriend, girlfriend, or romantic relationships, but also friends. There was a gentleman that I knew, and I want to shout out my girl for, reminding me of the situation. But there was a person in particular. I said a friend, but he was more so an acquaintance. But I knew him for years. I'm talking about 6, 7 years. Um, and for the most of the time that I knew him, he knew of me being in a relationship with the gentleman that I was engaged to. So I first moved to this, area, and I wasn't kind of with anybody for the first couple of years, and or the first, not even first couple of years, the first year, and then I got into a relationship with a gentleman, and then we were together for 3 years, and then I had moved out of the area, and then I moved back to the area. So during this whole time, I knew this other guy, and every time he saw me, it was always hugs. It was always, and I'm talking about even when I was, involved in my other relation, my engagement, it was always hugs because we worked pretty closely. We worked on a lot of community events together. And it was always hugs. When I would come and bring my kids, to the place where he worked, we would always have great conversation. When I started doing some events at the venue that he worked at, we always had, just like, he would always have some great updates. And then me and the other guy broke up, I thought clearly our relationship would kind of, it would grow. I thought it would kind of move. I thought it would move forward, and it didn't. And so we used to, exchange messages sometimes on social media. So I remember one morning, I was like, "Is there anything that you want me to pray with you about?" And he was like, "Yeah, just like typical work stuff or what have you." And then he had mentioned that he was having some struggles with one of his children's moms, or what have you. And so I was like, okay, and I'm like, well, maybe there's some chance of reconciliation, because like I said, at this point, y'all, I'm, even though I would like for us to move forward, at the same time I'm single minded. And he was just like, no, I'm not looking for that, and I was like, what do you mean you're not looking for that? And he was just like, I was like, oh, I'm sure she has her faults. And I'm thinking more so, she has her faults, you have your faults. I thought he was saying her in particular. He wasn't looking at that. And so I'm thinking he's talking about her. But no, he circled it back around. He was just like, sometimes you just want to you want to have relations, but you don't want to be in a relationship. And I was like, oh, now it made perfect sense why our conversations didn't move forward, because he knew that I was celibate, and he knew that that's not what he's looking for. And it really blew my mind in that instance, because like I tell you, this guy was like he was a high, to me, he was a high value dude. He was a single father taking care of his, children, very good and present person, always great conversation, good looking, came from a pretty good family, tight knit family. So it really blows my mind how many people are just very much looking to have romantic, they're looking to have sex, but they're not looking for romance. They're not looking for anything outside of that to really build intimacy or appreciation of a person. And once that is eliminated, there is no getting to know that person. Like, there's no reason to get to know that person. There's no reason to get involved with that person, because the sex is not an option. So I want to pose this question to you all. If sex were not on the table, do you really think that you would still have these options? And I don't mean, hear me out, saying that, oh, well, it's not like when I first meet a person, I'm going to have sex with them, so of course sex is not on the table. I mean, could you actually be in a dating realm, a dating mindset, and say, I'm not going to have sex with this person? Does sex ultimately mean, yes, that I'm attracted to this person? That or is sex about, hey, I have my needs being met and I need this person to meet them? What is it that makes it such a foreign concept, or makes it so unique to say, I'm just not going to have sex? So that's my question. Do with it what you will. um yeah. Until next time, y'all know what to do. Glow.